Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, April 1st. Yesterday was Trans Day of Visibility, and today is April Fool's Day. It's my first day out of quarantine. Of course, we'll still be social distancing, but the world has played an interesting joke on me this morning in terms of we thought there wasn't enough toilet paper in the world, but when we go to the washroom in our own homes for 24 hours a day, for 14 days, things can get plugged up. Fun stuff. So my timelines today are a little rough. But enough of me sharing that information. Today, we're going to do Feminist Book Club. So, I have 3 books today that I want to share with you. And as I talked about last week, these are queer and trans literature that I wanted to share in honor of Trans Day of Visibility. And we're going to do a story time on Saturday morning with Rachel. And she's also going to read a great family book that matches this theme. I love science fiction. We've been talking about that. It's hard to read some science fiction right now because especially novels that talk about the end of the world feel a little close to my heart right now. So, but I found some books that I really find awesome and fun and interesting. Oh, sorry, a phone call came in, so that might have been a blip for me. So the first book I want to talk about is a book called Love Lives Here. This is not science fiction. This is an autobiography, a memoir, and it's really incredible. Ontario made, Ottawa made. This book is by Amanda Jette Knox, and it's Love Lives Here, a story of thriving in a transgender family. Some people might have followed Amanda Jette Knox as the Maiden of Mayhem. She's a parenting writer, and she is really, really interesting and funny, but her story is a story for families who are navigating trans members in their family and how much love you can give in a family. So she has such an interesting story of her own struggles as a survivor, and then excitingly as a mother. Thought, everything was the way society told her life was supposed to be. And then her daughter came out, and then her wife came out. And so how their family navigated that is a beautiful story. And Amanda's online on Facebook, and she's very open and wonderful. Her wife grew up in Peterborough, so that's also an interesting part of this book. I highly recommend this book. I got a lot out of reading it and understanding family dynamics and navigating how to be supportive and loving. And Amanda, sometimes she says, what I did wasn't supportive and loving, and she talks about that too. And so that's helpful as well. So read that book and enjoy that as a memoir from a mom. Now the next book I'm going to share with you is the famous Octavia Butler. So science fiction, but Octavia Butler started writing in the 50s, a science fiction writer. She was the first Black woman science fiction writer, and she is profoundly awesome. So this book looks pretty thick, but I think originally it would have been 3 books. There's sort of 3 sections to this book. It's called Lilith's Brood. And this is a bit of an apocalyptic book, but it's about aliens. So that's helpful. Takes us away from what's going on right now. What's really interesting about these aliens is that they are figuring out with humanity how to repopulate Earth. And they are very connected in with the Earth and organic matter. And what is the theme around queer and trans issues is that humans aren't really able to repopulate Earth themselves anymore. They need the conduit of these aliens. And these aliens, there's 3 different genders in these aliens. And so the aliens are the conduit in which pregnancy can happen and repopulation of Earth. And that is a very interesting story. So Octavia Butler is very, very famous for her science fiction writing, as an incredible Black woman author as well. And so I do highly recommend her books. Something a little newer and really interesting that I got from Another Story, which is a bookstore in Toronto, and they have a really large queer trans section of books, and so you can call them up, ask them for recommendations. One day I went in and said, just give me your favorites. Give me your favorites, I want to read them. So this book is called Maiden, Mother, Crone, and it is fantastical trans femmes. And these are short stories written by different authors, many of them are Canadian, that are around those themes. It's more the fantasy side of sci-fi, which means there's fairies, there's vampires, there's sort of witches. It's more that kind of theme versus sci-fi. And this was a really interesting and fun, quick read. I love short stories. There was only one story that I kind of didn't get what was happening around potions, but I do think it's really fun to find these books. So at places like Another Story, they can give you some really great recommendations. I have a pile more of these books, and so if you want me to write some other favorites, some other books that I had gotten from Another Story, I can put those in the comments down below. If this is a type of genre you'd like to read more about and learn more about, I always recommend that we can do a lot of book ordering locally through Hunter Street Books. And so Michelle from Hunter Street Books is going to start giving me some recommendations as well of books to read. Next week, I'm hoping to talk about some feminist Indigenous literature that is Indigenous to this place as well, this north part of Turtle Island. So I do have a couple books that I'm thinking about, but Michelle's going to give me some more of her favorites to make sure I've got a good covering of books. So, and she'll drop those books off that you order at your door. Thank you so much for listening today about the books that I've been reading. And if you have recommendations of books you think I should read, send them along. I'd love to read them. I have a pretty big pile so far, but I'll put yours at the top. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Happy Wednesday. And we'll see you at story time on Saturday morning for younger kids and talking about these themes as well. Thank you.